First of all, thank you very much for joining us. It's a good pleasure to have you. And I don't know if you remember me. We met a couple of times at Rack Focus. We had some
Yes.
chats, with you and your husband. I was having
Yeah.
a few movies in there.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you remember me because
Long time ago.
we chilled and talked for a while. I think
Yeah.
last time I saw you, you guys were about to head out somewhere. You were,
Probably.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
always going somewhere.
Yeah, I remember you were going to California or something.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Gosh, it's all a blur. We
yeah,
do tend to travel a lot. That
yeah,
was probably like 2016 or something.
yeah. That's
Like a
correct.
while ago.
Yeah, and I didn't get chance to ask you about your name. Is that your author name, Seraphina Nova Glass, or is that your
My
real name?
real name. I'm surprised more people don't ask me
Are
that.
you
Do you know what?
serious?
You're actually the first person, and I was expected to get that all the time.
Look,
And I actually met an author. I was at the awards ceremony for the Edgar Awards in New York last week. And I met an author that I know, and she introduced herself by a different name, and it was the opposite. I was shocked. I thought 100% that was her pen name was her real name. So
yeah.
it's my real name.
When we became friends and then we hooked up on Facebook and I saw your name and I was like, I
Okay,
didn't know
well,
you write back then. I thought you were like
yeah.
in the movies. That was a complete like 180 degree. And I was like, and then suddenly you're like an author. And I was like, what happened?
Well, I didn't. My first book was 2020, so it's all still pretty new.
Wow. Well, so I guess I'm glad I met you before.
Yeah, I was doing the screenwriting stuff, but this is all still, I'm going on book 5. My fifth book comes out in January, and my fourth book comes out in a couple weeks.
Nice.
But it is still only a couple of years old.
Yeah,
so
and when I saw your name, and I was like, this must be her author name. After I discovered your writing, and I was like, this is probably her pen name, you know?
Yeah.
And well, that's a very interesting name. Tim, there he is. Yeah, so, and that's how I always try to refer to you by that name. And I was like, okay, when I meet her next time, I have to ask about this.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta get down to it. But that's a very interesting name. Check. It's
Hey,
very confusing.
No, I know. Well, I was born Seraphina, and I had a different last name growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took my mother's name as an adult. So my mother's last name is Nova. I took her last name, and then I married Glass. So it's all legit, but not,
You know what?
That's all happen at once.
That's a good thing because you have this name that looks like a pen name, but it's your real name, so you can confuse people always.
Well, the nice thing is there's not another one, so it's not like you're gonna look up Smith at the 100.
No, your name is so unique. I mean, when I look you up, it's either there is results or there is none. So there's no I can't be confused with you with somebody else. Timmy, you joined us. You seem confused.
Hi, Tim.
I think he's having sound issues. Anyway, so how did you start? Can you give us like a little, snapshot of how did you become an author?
I did. Well, I'm a professor at UTA.
Okay.
I'm still full-time, but I teach online, so I haven't been to campus in a while. And my background's playwriting. So I was directing a play in 2019. And the commute was pretty long because I live in East Dallas.
Yeah.
So I started listening to my first thriller book that I'd ever read on audio on the drive. And I thought literally after chapter 2, I'm like, why aren't I doing that? I want to do that. And so when the play closed and I wasn't commuting, it was like October 2019 and 2018.
Yeah.
And I wrote the book. I just said, I'm going to stop everything, write a book. It took me about 12 weeks to write it. And so by Christmas, I was done. And by January, I had an agent. And by the end of January, we had like a 3-book deal with HarperCollins. And it just went from there.
That was quick. Wow.
It was very quick.
Wow.
It's not a normal. I'm told that that's not normal. And
it's a very unique story because usually I'm pretty sure you read about the struggles of there's a lot of back and forth for people to get that hook or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a clean cut experience in the publishing world.
That's why it's hard when people ask for advice, like how would you get published and what did you do? And gosh, it's so different for everybody. There's no way to say I just got lucky.
Yeah.
Or I write really fast. I just happen to write fast, and
Because I was gonna ask you for advice too. I mean, I've been wanting to be a writer for a long time. I write. I write a lot of stuff. I write in things. I mean, I have like a book that I've been working on for like the past 3 years. I have all the puzzles and I'm just trying to put it together. But like the publishing part is like, how do you get to that? How do you find the agent and do all that stuff? So seeing your experience, you got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think lucky, but I also think it's not like I just started. It sounds fast, but I've been writing. I mean, I was writing Hallmark Christmas movies before that. I think 6 or 7 of them were option, and then before that, I was a playwright. So I did get lucky in a sense, but I think that there's an appetite for thrillers, and I write them pretty quickly. I usually take only about 12 weeks to write a book. And
Yeah.
so I'm popping out pretty quick. And publishers, I mean, that's attractive to publishers because they're going to be able to keep selling you.
Yeah.
And
Actually, let me take that bet. I don't think it's luck because if you have a good book, I mean, you need a little bit of luck, but the book should speak for itself. And I say that from like reading your book, reading the such
I
a,
feel like
when I read
if
Such a Good Wife, how do I say this? It's like I was watching a movie. I mean, it's like reading that book, and I was like, this is a movie, but in book format. It's amazing, and so the book speaks for itself. You know what I mean? So getting lucky is like probably 2% of it or whatever.
I think being really persistent too, because when I sent to agents, I mean, I spent the whole week, I probably sent to 400 agents in a weekend. And if they say that
Wow.
they're not taking simultaneous submissions, this is probably bad advice to give live, but, or they're not taking new clients, I think every agent wants the next new thing. And they're going to,
Yeah.
if your query strikes them, they're going to pay attention, and everybody's looking for
Yeah.
that talent at the next bestseller. So, I mean, most people have never finished a book. If you even finish it, you're like at the top 1%. So you got
Yeah.
a shot then,
No.
I would say.
No, but you have a very unique style. Like I said, reading that Such a Good Wife was stood out. I read books. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of thrillers. Read the classics. So it's like I have a broad taste for these things. And once in a while, when you read a book, it stands out. It's like there's a pattern in there because you start to fall for when you're reading other books and they all like sound almost the same, or trying to find the one that will get you excited about reading it. So in a while, when I read Such a Good Wife, that was the effect that I get.
Well, that's nice to hear. It's also interesting because of my 4 books out, it's the least popular.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but I disagree because I read it from a literature point of view because I love literature, and I wrote and read a lot of it, and also from a movie perspective. When I read it, I was like, it was such an enjoyable read, but also it was like a movie. So
Yeah. That's nice to hear. I feel like just about everybody says that about On a Quiet Street, my book after that one.
yeah.
But many people say that about that one. So it's interesting that that's the one you resonate with.
So you have that style, and I think that's why an agent shouldn't, if a good agent should see that and pick it up. What's up, Timmy? You can hear us?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm Tim, by the way.
Hi, Tim.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So what are you working on right now?
I just finished a book 3 days ago, and it's called A Vacancy in Room 10. Well, so my book, The Vanishing Hour, comes out at the end of May, just in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit different. It's a little on, I'd say it's a little on the darker side. It's a little less domestic and not more serial killer, but just a little bit edgier than my first 3. And then The Vacancy in Cabin 10, The Vacancy in Room 10 comes out very quickly after this one, already in January. And so that hasn't even gone into editing yet. It's just freshly finished.
Yeah.
And so since I just finished that, I'm not thinking about anything else right now. I don't know what's next.
So,
I have another book I have to write to fulfill the current contract, but I haven't thought about it yet.
Are you only too much into thrillers, or are you considering other genres in the style?
A good question, and a conversation I've had a lot recently, and I am thinking about moving into maybe some other genres. So I haven't really decided, but it's definitely a conversation.
Anne Rice passed away, so you can probably take the helm.
That's very generous of you to say. No, I love literary fiction. I grew up on literary fiction. I mean, I come from the theater and academia, and so I think, James Baldwin and, Kate Chopin and these great writers, that's the kind of stuff that I used to read. I went into genre fiction because I love thrillers and because, it's just sort of an easier elbow into the business. But I don't know. I don't know that it'd be too far off to maybe think that I'd delve into literary fiction again someday, writing wise, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't delve too much into that, the new fiction stuff and all that. I read mostly like, the classic literature, like, Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and all that stuff, Balzac and all the French gurus and things. So, but once in a while, it's like I try to find something modern and recent and try to get into that because, there's a lot of output and it's hard to sift through to find something. That's why it's like your book was like stood out so much.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? This is it. So I have a list of all your books now to read.
Okay, good. I like to hear that.
Yeah. I made Tim read it. And I was like, okay, you need to read this book.
True, yeah. I remember when you told me about this, I was like, all right, let's check it out. I like that comment that you made that it's like a movie and whatnot, and I feel like that's really captive to me. If I can like read or listen to a book, most of the time I'm doing audiobooks because it's just,
Same.
yeah, right, same thing anyway. Yeah, when you start to visualize it and you can see it like you said like a movie and whatnot, that's I feel like that's a very good sign of like a good writer. Because you get out of that you get wrapped into, I should say rather, into that whole environment and whatnot. And I will say this wasn't what I thought it was, to be honest. Especially when you told me about like, hey, you need to check this book out.
I knew it was gonna surprise you.
Yeah, like the title, I'm like okay, this is not what I was expecting out of you. But sure, yeah, let's give it a go. Like I trust your word and it was actually pretty good. I was actually genuinely surprised. The whole time I was listening to it, I was like, where's this going?
It was
like,
a roller coaster.
Yeah, it was twists and turns here and there. Like her and her husband, and I will say, unless I'm just slow, I didn't really even grasp the whole. Are we doing spoilers?
Spoiler alert.
I didn't like grasp the whole thing, like because he worded it. From what I remember, sorry, it's been a minute. From what I remember, you worded it in a way that you couldn't tell if she went with it, until like a certain point into the book where you're like, oh, she's been doing it. Or not only did she like do it, you get that thing like it might have just been one time, but then you kind of realize it's like gradual. There's been a kind of a continuous thing. At least,
right.
Yeah, that's what I came from it. And I was like, oh wow, that's an eye opener, and like how it just snowballs and everything, and the ending and all that stuff. Well written, very well written.
It was a good study of what do you call it? A human transformation. It's like this perfect woman who's like, just regular, boring, normal life. But like what happens once, and this could happen to any of us. Like, when you're put in the circumstances, you get to discover how far you would go or not go at all or collapse. And then this woman, like the way you took us through her progression, how she transformed and just took it to the next level. And I was like, what just happened? I expected her to like, freak out and try to protect her perfect life or whatever life she has. But she discovered a side of herself that she is creative. She can go far to not let things, get out of control. It was a good character study.
I think those are some of my favorite kinds of movies or books where, just your average person gets put in it, these extreme circumstances and then do things. You can maybe see yourself doing the same thing if you were put in that position, or doing the right thing to begin with. But if you didn't and you got yourself in that kind of pickle, like what extreme, and I try to imagine every step that she took and every extreme thing she did and justifying to herself why, in order to kind of make that sort of domino effect make sense. But those, I think that I just like those because it's not, as much as espionage and superheroes and all that's great, I think just the real person, the average person, the domestic thriller is, more exciting to me because it's just so plausible.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I love stuff that is grounded like so much in reality, like so much into, you can see the dirt and everything. It's like, because those are like the experiments to see what if for real, because it's in the real world that you can feel and touch, Yeah. It's someone could be next to you versus something that is, the fantastical stuff is good, but you go to it knowing that.
Yeah.
But mostly the things that are like this, you go to it, you can never know what it is, and then unless you experience it
Yeah,
and
it
you
makes
go
it
through
very
that.
makes it very human, if you will.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, grounded. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like it. I think that's true. Yeah.
Did anyone give you offers to make it into a movie?
So this one that I wrote after that, the one that I told you is
Yeah.
doing much better than this one, called On a Quiet Street.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not actually, I can't get details actually yet, but we're looking at a limited series for the next book, On a Quiet Street.
Yeah, I read reviews about it, and it's in my next queue to read. I just didn't get a chance to read it, but On the Quiet Street, that's the one I have after the
Yeah,
Such
so
a Good
that's
Wife.
the one that we're looking at potentially. It was nominated for an Edgar Award. I think I told you we were just in New York for the ceremony. I didn't win, but it was cool. There's only 5 of us nominated, so it was an honor. It was really cool to be in this great
congratulations. That was good. I think I saw a couple of pictures that you posted.
So it's nice to get that kind of recognition and have, potentially, I'm sure you probably know working in film, things get optioned all the time, and it doesn't mean get made, but it's a big step. Yeah. It's taken a while and a lot of negotiating to get to that point. So, it's cool. It's kind of crazy coming from never conceived of really writing crime fiction until 3 years ago, and all of a sudden I'm on book 5 and these things are happening. So it's still sometimes kind of surreal, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of taken on a life of its own, I guess.
Hey, look, one of these days, if I ever get budgets and become capable of making a big movie, I'm making a movie out of Such a Good Wife. That would
it's all yours.
You know what? It's good. Like you said, everybody underestimating it. Everybody knows, but I know exactly what I want to do with it. That
cool.
one, I know. But until then,
get a financer. We're on.
Yeah. Until then, that's the one I'll make. Cool. It's just such a mind-stretching book. I don't know. I know I keep praising it so much, but it's true. It's not a praise. It's true.
I feel like 99% of my audience is women. So the fact that you feel that way about it is fantastic. I mean, and definitely, maybe not 99, maybe 95, but I think the men that love thrillers, really love thrillers, but maybe usually go for Harlan Coben and more sort of high concept, crime and really fast paced. And these are a little bit more, not cerebral, but sort of more
psychedelic thrillers,
Yeah, and so I really appreciate that you appreciate it. I think that's great.
I mean, because I see the piece. The reason I say this, I see the pieces, the way you were able to put it together. Because, I told you, I've been writing a book for a long time. So, I have the pieces, but how to weave it together is like the puzzle. I have every piece I need. It's just how to achieve and deliver that fluidity.
You outline your book?
No, I don't. I just dive right in. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I wish I could send you a copy to give me your opinion, but it's in French. I don't know if you can read. Yeah, it's in French, but it's like one of those situation stuff. It's based on real life kind of events, but it's one of those things where you have people in extreme situations and things happened, and you get to see how they handle it. Or how far they go with it because of the circumstances, not because they are bad. That's just so.
I love that. I'm amazed by people who can even conceive of writing a book without outlining it. I outline it next level.
Oh, really?
I don't get if I know that she's going to do this in chapter 8, I know that I got to set it up where she sees this in chapter 3, and then later we go, oh, that comes together because she did this here, and then this chapter. I mean, all those pieces are there. And I think some people find it limiting to outline, but I feel like I have such freedom when I start writing because today I'm on chapter 20 and I look at the outline and I've already done so much front-loaded work. I have the 5, and it's not exhaustive. I have the 5 big things that need to happen in that chapter.
Yeah.
And I know they got to come in, and then I can just start writing, and I know that I got to sprinkle those in. And then I'm never, and so I sold the first draft because I don't revise very much.
Yeah.
And when I write these, I turn them into my publisher without editing them. I'm just, because to me, it's front loaded. All the work's, the hard part is the concept and the outlining, and then writing to me then is fun, but it's not fun in that stage. And so,
I just, for me, it's I think about the story and the idea for a while. It's it's in my head, but once it's all baked in, once I start writing, it's sometimes I start and it just flows, pages and pages. and then I stop. And then what I stopped, and I keep thinking about the events. And then I go for like days. And then when I sit back again, it's just like blends and keeps going. So I don't have the ability to sit and plan things, but I can sit and just like when I start, it just doesn't
There's
stop.
a lot of writers who do it that way, who and I'm not one who has to write every day. I always get that advice, you should write every day or journal. I'll just do kind of that, like just bust out a project and sit in my chair for a week, and then I don't want to think about it for a month or something, like in big chunks like that. But and there's people, we call them pantsers, they fly by the seat of their pants writing. So are you an outliner or a pantser? I'm always asked. And the pantsers, like you, I think there's a lot of them. It's probably, I don't know if it's 50-50, but I find that when I'm in interviews, especially with other authors, more of them don't outline than do. And I am in awe of that because maybe I'm a planner and I just need to know what I'm writing to. Otherwise, I'll be driven crazy not knowing,
But
here's
the thing. You hear a lot or you read a lot of articles about like how you're supposed to write and how you're supposed to do stuff. I think that's all BS because everyone is different. The way you work works for you, and that's the only way you can be productive, and that's how you should operate. I can't do what you do.
Exactly.
And you can't do what I do, so no one should force themselves into like a formula to work. When you write, that you operate. The most important thing is having the ideas and thinking about that stuff. And then
I want to say it was Stephen King who doesn't outline and thinks it stifles creativity, and he's doing okay. So that makes sense. And I think it was, but I can't do that. But it was also him that said he doesn't. I don't want to misquote, but I thought I remembered reading very early on that he doesn't take longer to write a book than a season. So that's where I got the 3 months from, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. It's funny how this arbitrary stuff that we resonate with or we don't, and you have to take what serves you and just make it yours.
Yeah, you have to find your comfort zone and your own thing. It's like you can't find a formula to do that. And for me, it's like I write a bunch of stuff and then I have to forget about it for a while. And then I come back a month later and I start reading it, and again, I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. That doesn't make sense. And then I take it from there. It's like I'm reading somebody else's book and then just keep going.
Yeah. And see, if I took a break that long in the middle of a project, I would be like, who the hell are these people? I don't even remember.
You forget.
I barely remember Such a Good Wife because I wrote it very quickly. I don't do a lot of revisions. And then I've written 3 books since. So I was going to say, I hope you don't ask me a lot of specific questions because I probably won't remember at this point. Such a weird process for everybody. It is so different.
But that's great. It's like once the book is sealed, baked, it's out, that's it. It becomes like this strange entity to you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even recognize
look at it again. I never want. I love helping to choose the narrators on Audible because I love Audible.
Audible is good.
I love all my narrators. I can listen to a sample just to hear how they sound, but I can't listen to the whole thing because it's somebody else's interpretation of your work, and that's always going to be hard to hear no matter how great they are.
Really? So you don't read back the book?
I don't even want to edit it at all. I want to just have them tell me what grammar needs fixing and a couple trouble spots, and that's weird. I know that's weird, but I can't explain it. It's just I'm. People ask if these are a series. Oh, I'm on book 5. Oh, is it a series? I'm so bored with these people when I'm done with the book. I don't want to listen to these people again. I'm done. I've moved on to the next thing, I'm probably the only one who feels that way, but it's a funny relationship we all have with writing, right? I mean,
it whatever gets you to the next the next adventure.
Yeah.
It's all personal and subjective. So how does the process of editing work? So you finish a draft as is and you just hand it to them to be edited, like finding grammatical errors or whatever. What do
That's more line editing. When I send it to my editor, they come back with a 1-pager of what they loved and what they had questions about, and they'll go through the whole manuscript. And usually, I'm so grateful. My last editor, I did kind of a cold end on A Quiet Street, and she really asked for an additional chapter. Usually she doesn't have such a big sort of request. It's usually smaller. Did you think about this? Or, oh, her dress was red in chapter 3 and it's green in chapter 8. What'd you do? Stuff like that.
Continuity from movies.
Continuity, and then some big stuff. And she asked me to add a chapter to kind of wrap up, to kind of give some more closure. And I'm so glad I did. I think it was the best thing I could have done for that book. And so they're there for those kinds of big overall sorts of things too. And, a good editor is going to work with you in your vision. And The thing that I find, and you might find this in film, but I have been on sets and I haven't done a lot of film. I was kind of just getting into it when I probably met you, so I don't have a lot of experience. But I feel like kind of, I don't want to use the word disrespected as a writer, maybe as a female writer on set, where people would just change your lines or just paraphrase them at will, or a director would just kind of reshape a scene and you're right there as the writer, like on set.
Yeah.
As an author, the editor will ask you, I mean, literally, if I use the word it or and, they'll make a note and say, is this okay? This change, a tiny little period. They'll ask you if that's what you meant and if this is okay for 400 pages. And you spent days going through it. Yes, that's okay. No, that's what I meant. The respect that you get from your the collaborators, is just so much different than my experience in theater or film, where you kind of, maybe it's because it's so much more collaborative in that way that you get a little walked over sometimes. But I just think that's so important for the work to really be respected the way it is in publishing, and the way that I haven't found as much in my experience with film and how.
Well, let me try and help explain a little bit of that to you, if I may, from my own experience.
I'm still bitter, so if you have an explanation.
In books, like authors style books, novels and things, yes, like you were painting with words, so accuracy, we have to okay, you want this to sound like this, you want that. In film, like at least most of the time, I write the scripts, and the way I write my scripts is like, a script for me is just like, this little thing to start with. Nothing is like sacred in it. I just want to paint a picture for the actors, because in film you want real people to project things in reality. If I'm hiring you as an actress, I'm writing some lines. Lines sometimes on paper, they sound cool, but once human beings start saying them, it sounds stupid or off, or maybe not genuine. You know what I mean? So I go to you and I'll say, usually as when directing a movie, I say, okay, so here's this scene. You're talking about this. I want you to try to make this as real as possible. So take these words as suggestions, but I would like to see you.
Writer's nightmare.
Yeah, because I want you in real life. If I put you in a scene, I say, okay, you're fighting with your husband about specific something, a remote control. I want this to come out realistic, because we're painting visually.
So you want a little improv, the visual medium.
Because when I sit and write it by myself, a lot of times the dialogues you write, it's not realistic.
That's why you always get that going joke where it's like a single child writing a script or dialogue for a brother and sister, and they're like, "Hey, what's up, sis? Like, what's up, bro?" Nobody talks.
No one talks like that in real life.
Well, you hope you have a writer who would never do that.
Yeah.
Or just the overuse of someone's name, like, hello, mother. Hello. I mean, it's those 101, writing 101 things that we hope that we don't have to. But that's such a great example. You have no idea how many times a day as a teacher that I
so writing for film, the writer who writes for film has to have more of a visual, eyeballs visual perspective to words versus a book, because things.
But don't you think that in any kind of big film, the writer would be sort of that you collaborate in a sense to make sure that okay. Yeah. So I think that's the problem I have, and I totally agree that it needs to sound natural, and on paper sometimes it's stilted. But in the theater, they have auditors come to big theaters, and for every word that an actor paraphrases, the theater can be fined. If they're not literally verbatim the script. I mean, I don't think that often, but it's possible. They can send an auditor to your production of Big Town, whatever. I mean, and you can be fined for every paraphrase that the actors didn't. That's how respected the written word is, kind of in my world. So it was a little bit of a shock, but I do hear what you're saying.
But for me, like I said, I always set my scripts to be not sacred. So I'm fluid. It's all about the visuals, and I let people experiment, and the actors, I give them stuff. But if I was working with a writer, the way I would do it, I'll have you with me on the set always. Yeah. And then we both get to see people say those lines and words in real life. I'll let you, handle it.
Yeah.
I'll handle their performance. I'll handle the stuff. But the words, I have you see for yourself if the words you wrote sound good. Do they sound lame, or do they sound realistic? And you have to figure out a way how to verb it for them if you want to stick to words to say it a certain way. There
I
are some
totally agree with
scenes that
that.
you have to say it exactly as on paper.
Yeah. But I think that relationship and the respect of that relationship is what I mean. Just making
Oh
sure that
yeah.
everyone's on board, and then you try sort of the improv and paraphrasing, making it sound natural, especially if the actor's kind of not able to make something sound natural, and they need to kind of
Yeah.
just say it the way they need to make it work and stuff. Of course.
I
But
totally agree with you. If you
well,
hire the writer, like I said, I would have them with you. Use them. I'll have them with you all the time. They have the experience. They have the vocabulary to phrase things, so they can at least take that load off of me, so I can focus on other things. But use the writer. Have them with you. Experience this stuff. Tell him what you're going for. They find the words, not just bypass them straight up. I mean, I can bypass my own script because I wrote it. I can just whatever.
right,
But if I had a writer that I hired, bring him into the experience. Let
right,
him,
yeah,
let him take the first stab at it before you completely ignore them and start telling people to improvise and do weird stuff. I
yeah.
mean, that's just
Yeah,
common
and I think
sense.
that's just why it's harder. I think if you are just truly a writer and you're not a director or an actor or anything else, when you're really just wanting your story to be told the way that you're telling it, I think that's when fiction is a little bit easier for a writer in a sense. It's the control. I think it's the control I like.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
a lot more control over it than these collaborative. And I love theater and film, and I'll probably always dabble in it, just like On a Quiet Street. If we're working on a series and stuff, and I still work in theater, I still love it. But I just think that just the absolute sort of control over a story on paper that nobody changes is
Oh yeah.
maybe my power trip, but it's nice to kind of be in that medium and have that experience
No,
too.
I totally agree with you. I mean, it's one of those you
Yeah.
find a place where you have 100% control. Like in movies, we have to collaborate and do stuff. For me, when I sit down to draw, I draw here and there. It's the one place I know no one tells me what to do. It's just
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
the pen and the paper. I go crazy. There's
yeah.
no one can change anything. It's the same thing. Everybody finds that one place because you collaborate all the time and you have to deal with different personality.
Yes, and for somebody like me who is very solitary and could be left alone all day, which I usually am with my dog and my audiobooks on my walks and my computer by myself almost all the time, it's great. I love it.
I envy
Collaborating
you.
with people, I don't know anymore. I don't even know if I could do that anymore. It's been a while, and I just kind of, it's a very solitary existence. And if you're made for that, good on you. I mean, it's just it works for me, and I kind of finally found that in fiction. And I'm glad I found that because, again, I love this other stuff, but I'm just less of a collaborator, more of a loner. And so I'm glad that I kind of get to still do what I love to do by myself.
So what you're saying is you kind of thrived during the whole COVID thing.
Oh, nothing changed. Nothing. I'm the weirdest person that way. I was already teaching 100% online. Come here, Bubby. I just have my day-to-day dog walks, workout, computer. Nothing changed. It was pretty sad that I didn't feel the effects of it actually anyway at all, and nothing's changed that much since, except I can go back.
That's amazing. You're the first person I talked to who said that. It's like everybody, they all like experience some shift and whatever.
Oh.
I mean, as far
And
as the
I'm
staying home.
grateful for having a job that was COVID proof because I still was just a remote instructor. And well, I will say though, having my debut novel come out spring 2020 sucked.
Oh, so how did that
That's
go?
something I'll never get back. And
What was the
the first,
experience?
well, it was just a wah wah, things were just not happening. And in Such a Good Wife, it was the next spring, but we were still the publisher. I've yet to do one in-person signing or book launch party or anything, which most authors do on book 4. It came out at a time where everything shifted with publishing, and you'd think everybody was home reading and book sales would be better. That might be true for established authors, but for debut authors, which I was in 2020,
Yeah.
it was rough. And it didn't get better with Such a Good Wife, and it finally got better with On a Quiet Street, which has done well. And now I have another one coming out. So, crossing fingers that we're on a trajectory that it wasn't the time to debut, at all. And everything, any touring, anything that you usually do,
that
never happened and still hasn't. It's just sort of all stayed,
Wow.
my book comes out on May 30th, so a few weeks. I probably do laundry that day. Like, there's not even like that's just how it is as COVID still. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's hard to explain. You're just kind of used to, it's not even about the day that it comes out, though. It's about a few months later when you see how it does, really. But of course, you want to celebrate in some way.
Of course.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me, because we had me and my company, if you will, Real Unicorn Productions, shout out. We had a COVID release of our what was it? Our technically our second film, and it was kind of disappointing because like we had all these plans for have like a couple of weeks in like certain theaters and whatnot. COVID happened, shut down everything. We finally got the movie like out. Right now it's on Tubi and all that. But we had basically a private
Viewing.
premiere. Yeah, filming premiere. And it was really just us renting a theater to be able to do that because no one was doing the theaters, no one was going out. It was like literally in the middle of it, and it really staggered us.
COVID sucked the pleasure out of all those experiences.
Out of everything.
It really did.
But for your new next book, you should come out and do a signing and all that stuff. I mean, since everything is back to normal, I think you should aggressively go do tours and stuff. I know your face says I want to stay home.
I can do that online. I don't know.
No, you have to be in person and engage. You know, that's how people. That's how people start to get to familiarize with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think the networking and actually getting to know people is something that I haven't had to do. And, gosh, I have nothing but gratitude for the fact that I'm even still in print after when I came out. I think about, everybody that went through so much during COVID and here's me saying, I wasn't affected at all. I don't mean that to sound maybe the way it came off. I think about just all my poor neighbors that have high school students that didn't get to graduate and just the crushing disappointment everyone went through. So my book debuting, of course, is not the end of the world, but the fact that I'm still, publishing and stuff is, I'm grateful and excited about that. And you're probably right. I probably need to kind of make that shift from COVID that I haven't made yet. I still actually kind of live as a writer, like that's the thing. And we can go out in the world now. So maybe we will,
I mean, at least for your books, I'm saying it's good for you to, as an author, to start like putting
getting
the face.
Actual people?
Yeah, putting a face to the books, people start to see you regularly, at least at specific events for launching the books, not all the time. And that will cement your reputation and, your presence with your books out there. And you can come out and sign my book. You can come out and sign my copy of Such a Good Wife.
Any day. And I just got this big stack of Vanishing Hour, the one that hasn't even come out yet. I just 2 days ago. Oh, I have a puppy. They sent me a big stack of them. So those are the first fresh copies. And yeah, so I had thought about maybe doing something locally. We kind of, for Such a Good Wife, some friends got together. Did you ever do the Truck Yard in Dallas?
Truck Yard.
Are you guys in Dallas?
Yeah.
Not Fort Worth?
No. I mean, he's in Fort Worth.
Yeah, I'm in Fort Worth now, but I've been in Dallas for a while. Yeah.
Oh, it's just this cool kind of, it's this outdoor sort of bohemian picnic tables and mismatched furniture. There's actually a tree house with some seating up there, and it has some live music. You can bring your dog. It's just a cool kind of staple. There's actually, I think, there's one in Plano. I don't know if there's one in Fort Worth.
I'm in Plano.
Anyway, you are.
Yeah.
There's one in Plano. It's huge. It's just a cool kind of, I don't know, hipster hangout. And we did a little bit of a sort of small friends family get together there for one of the books. So I think if anything, maybe just a small gathering, but maybe next time I can actually start really thinking bigger and we should probably make this an occasion.
It's not a bad idea, honestly. As a musician, I know getting out into the scene, if you will, helps a long ways with just like meet and greets or like just showing up and just being like, hey, this is us, whatever. And then, well, in our case, we give freebies, like little cards that, have links to our song or whatever. I don't think you really do that for a book, but
hey, listen, they send me a giant box and it's going to sit in my garage for 2 years. So maybe I will. I mean, maybe I'll just bring it and be like the first, however many they sent me, 50 people, free book, and just kind of, to help promote. There's no reason why not. You guys are not wrong. Yeah. You're very right about this. Yeah. It's just me actually
getting up and doing it.
Getting out there and not getting shy in public and kind of doing it. But yeah, no, I think it's sage advice, actually.
Because, think about it, like you're in a good track, but at some point, if you keep going like this, And I think your style is right for kind of success. And if you hit the next level, you are going to be forced to appearing a lot and doing things.
Yeah.
So if you start now, you get like the hang of it.
Yeah, getting used to it now, honestly. Because
At a
trust me, I
small
was.
level.
Yeah, trust me. I'm on stage, especially with the band, like going up now, coming up a lot. And by the way, we have a show next Saturday. At Dean. We're gonna shoot Dean.
Okay.
But I was that shy guy in the back. I play bass, so like I'm like always in the back, just get it done, woo, I'm here right now, let me get off and just chill, have a drink, calm my nerves. Now I'm that guy. It took a couple of years, I'm not gonna lie. It took a couple of years to like really break out of that. And now I'm that guy jumping off stage, like getting people involved and whatnot. Like me and my my front man, my vocalist, like we almost compete to see like who's
the more obnoxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I love that. No, you're right. I think the thing is you get comfortable. Like obviously I come from the theater and I lecture in front of students all the time. And, I teach public speaking, for God's sake, not anymore live, because now I've been online for 4 years. Pre-COVID, I started being fully online 2019, and it's been 4 years behind my computer writing and not having to do that. So it's not even a matter of not being accustomed to it. Not that I was ever that comfortable with it, but certainly then you're kind of like, this is cozy. This is nice. I like living here, like behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's tempting for sure.
And then you get in your comfort zone and you can write it and then you can send it, especially when you're with a major publisher. They get to do all the marketing for you. You can just write the next thing and stay in your comfort zone. So I think you're absolutely right that getting out there, and just having a face in the community, especially just locally, is important.
Yeah. Locally. If you start locally, trust me, it goes a long way. Your name, it
just
grows.
Those human beings, yeah.
Yeah, it grows by itself. Indeed. So when do we expect the new book?
May 30th.
May 30th. All right. So this month.
All right.
I'm gonna read the other one first before I jump into this one. So we're gonna put that one on the calendar and then.
Yeah, I feel like On a Quiet Street is it's the one to definitely the one to read next. It's
actually, you know what? Then when your new book comes out, we're gonna read it and then we're gonna jump on a conversation about it to celebrate.
Cool. You mean Vanishing Hour or the one after that? January 9th, the next one comes out, which is insane. That it's so.
No, the one that is coming out, the May. Yeah.
May 30th.
So the recent one, yeah. So we're gonna make you come out.
Okay.
We're gonna make you come out, and you start.
Okay. It's a Tuesday, so I don't know, but if you guys,
it's gonna come out. Okay, it's gonna come out Tuesday. We're gonna read it quickly, and then that weekend we're gonna hit it.
You can actually get, if you want, well, you like to listen to them. I mean, I can get you an advanced copy like today.
Oh, I love real copies. The only reason I listen to books is because time's constraints sometimes.
Right.
But I'm old-fashioned. I like real books.
Well, if I got you a copy now, it would be digital because they are sending digital galleys. I have physical copies, but that would take a while to get you. But anyways, I'm just saying, if you want to read it before it comes out, I can find a way for you to read it for.
Yes, please.
But you were going to read On a Quiet Street, though, so we'll figure it out.
Look, I got a bunch of books behind me. I'm reading all the time.
Good, I love it.
Yeah, I'm a book nerd. I mean, Tim, Tim is started to join the wagon.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because my girl literally just went to the library and picked up a couple books. A book for me specifically, which is a whole D&D thing. Yes, I'm a nerd. But yeah, I'm probably literally gonna start reading that probably after we're done wrapping this up.
Nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with some good old nerdy D&D. I like it.
Yeah, we play D&D. We're nerd.
Hey, no, I saw your Spotify and I was like, yeah, I mean, like I said, I come from the theater. That is not foreign to me at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, our thing is all mixed. You see us playing D&D, and then we talk to directors, and then we talk to some people who do like theology, weird stuff. So it's like everywhere, which is,
It's kind of fun to just be able to take wherever, I like a theme, but wherever you're interested, like I said, when I write a book, then I'm done with that. I want a totally new idea, something fresh. So to be able to just kind of go wherever your interest leads you, to not have to be stuck to one thing and then feel like you might get bored of it. I mean, I can appreciate that.
So let me ask you this. I mean, since you started writing recently, but I'm pretty sure you read books before. If I were to ask who's your major influence, literature-wise, who would that be?
So do you mean like literature that I grew up with, or like in my genre, who would I recommend to read other thrillers by?
No, not recommendation. Use you as a writer, like your main influence would to become a writer. When you started writings, like you have that one or two authors that you'll be like, these are the people, kind of like.
Okay. So those, I would feel like those are more contemporary thriller writers that I fell in love with and said, oh, I really like what they're doing. I want to do that too. Because like I said before, old literary theory and literature and the things that I, all of, stuff from the past is in a sense an influence because it kind of shapes who you are and your love for literature. But as far as real influences recently, I would say Lisa Jewell is a gift to the thriller space. She's beautifully literary and can keep, the pages turning. And she's a really special writer. And I also like Lucy Foley and I like Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware is the writer that I was actually listening to her book in the car when I said, I'm going to do that. So those are some of my favorite, like pretty contemporary thriller authors right now.
Right on.
Yeah.
And did you hear about recently? It was on the news. What's her name? She's a famous writer. She writes a lot of romance book. Nora something.
Ephron?
Man, I can't forget her name. She's a very big name. She writes like a romance books a lot.
Nora Ephron.
Probably. Yeah, 5 of her books or something, they were banned from the library in Florida or something like that, and then some other states. What do you think of that?
I think we could go down a big rabbit hole when it comes to that.
I mean, she was outraged and she came and spoke out and says, that's like
I'm
BS.
Outraged. I don't agree with it at all. I think it's ludicrous. I mean, I've seen some of your previous podcasts. I think we're on the same wavelength politically when it comes to a lot of things. So I don't know how much I like to stay neutral as an author, but I feel like not neutral. I don't want to throw out any major opinions on it, but I do think that it's, a shame that any book would be banned. And I think it's, sort of shocking in 2023 that that's even happening. It really is. And that, I think that we're doing the best we can to sort of, resist crap like that as much as possible. We probably could do more collectively, but yeah, it's
I mean,
insane.
to me, book banning and book burning is symptomatic of a failing civilization because that's like, Dark Ages practices.
I can't disagree.
21st century books or any medium of communication, information, and creative outlet is not up for discussions to be banned or not because, you have to accept the fact that the diversity of people, they will say whatever they say. You can only combat those things by engaging them, either proving them wrong or not. It's like you fight on the arena. You can't just burn something away.
Yeah.
You can't burn disagreement away. That's it. You can't, I'm just saying. But yeah, it's unfortunate, 2023, 21st century, everything is in the internet. You can never delete stuff anymore. You burning a book is a very pathetic attempt. It
has the opposite effect. It's like, hey, pay more attention to me. I'm a book.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it really almost has the opposite effect. People we're more interested in knowing what it is. Why would you want to keep me from this?
That is so correct because growing up, especially when I was a teenager and everything, like, I loved reading book literature. So I grew up reading a lot of stuff. And then it was specific. I remember every book I hear about was like, oh my God, this book was banned. It's sacrilegious or bad. My interests burns to the skies. Like, I need to find this book. I want to see what's in it.
Right.
I'm not interested in the, like whatever pornographic material or sacrilegious material. It's just like, I want to know why they banned it. It's like that burning curiosity that so many people are up against it, like about to destroy the whole country just because of a book. So I want to see.
And then when you do read it and then you wonder why they banned it, you still wonder because it's nothing you don't see every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, the girl who has a transgender show on TLC or something like that, entire show about being transgender, but you're going to ban this tiny little book. Like that makes all the other, outlets she has disappear because you're trying to control this one piece of it. And I think it does, and good. I'm glad it draws more attention to most of these types of books.
Most of the books in my life that I read, they were banned or like, hated or feared and stuff. I obviously target them and collect them on purpose, but reading them, reading them is like, I have yet to find something super shocking that, well, why they banned this book. I was, there was like, okay, there's something weird or two or clever, but there was not like, I was never super shocked by the book that was like, oh my God, yes, they should have banned this book. I have yet to find that.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question. Probably the one shouldn't be answered, but what would make you not want to read a book? Like, what information there would be like, okay, I wish I never would have read this. Like, this should be.
I mean,
it exists. I'm sure it exists out there, but no, I mean,
it's called the government documents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you are encouraged to not, edit yourself, or if you have wild ideas and do stuff, please write that stuff. Don't let your editors tell you you're gonna get banned because of this.
I think that the stuff I'm writing is escapism, and it's fun, and it's, I mean, there's definitely human elements to it and all of that, but hey, if they ban one of my books, I would feel like I'm a success. But I really don't think that's going to happen. Not the kind of stuff I write, but
you'll be surprised.
Maybe I would be.
You'll be surprised. Yeah, take some of your characters. If you start to, make your characters more current, throw in their genders and trends and all that stuff, and put them in real life and see what happens. Demonstrate that they are just human beings like everybody else, but going through the motions, you might get banned because you used characters that are not conventional. So do that, and your success will be guaranteed. That's my advice. Well, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I don't want to hold you up for too long. You've been very generous, and
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys asking me to join you, and it was fun. And we'll party when the new book comes out. Apparently on Tuesday.
I was gonna say, please.
I'm sure we'll be in touch. You're local.
Yeah, we're local. So once the book comes out, definitely we want in on that.
Cool. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.